of movements. Our contest is sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control. Our steward in charge is Mr. Richard Barber, alongside Mr. Roger Barber. Our medical officers are Dr. Banks, Dr. White and Dr. Hill. And our inspectors ringside, Barry Freeman, Nigel Thomas, Alan Spelling and Chris Bartram. At the sound of the bell, which will be rung by our timekeeper from Kingston upon Thames, Mr. Nick White. Our referee will be a star referee from Watford, Mr. Bob Williams. And so, ladies and gentlemen, in attendance here at ringside, and for those watching live on Dave, the officials are ready. The boxers are ready. Are you ready for the main event? Introducing in the blue corner, wearing black shorts with gold. Official weight, 19 stone, 1 pound. From 16 contests, he has 12 wins. 8 wins inside the distance, only 3 defeats, 1 draw. He is the former British Southern Area Champion, the WBO Asia Pacific Heavyweight Champion, from Brixton, London, Ian Lewison. And in the red corner, wearing black shorts with red and gold, on the scales at 18 stone, 3 pounds. He was the 2014 Commonwealth Games gold medalist. He was the 2015 European Games gold medalist. He was the 2016 Olympic Games super heavyweight silver medalist. Tonight, making his professional debut in the ring from Putney, London, he is the juggernaut, Joyce. Referee in charge, Mr. Bob Williams.
Okay, Joyce. Okay, Lewison. Okay, lads, obey my commands. In the event of a knockdown, the fighter standing will go to the furthest neutral corner and stay there. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves, boys.
Well, during those final instructions from referee Bob Williams, the disparity in height apparent. Ian Lewison, the heavier man, by some 8 pounds. Joe Joyce, some 4 inches taller.
Shakers out.
And we are underway with our main event here on Fight Night on Dave Television. 10 3-minute rounds in the heavyweight division. And the man wearing the black trunks, trimmed with gold, Ian "Lay 'em out" Lewison, already launching a speculative right-hand haymaker in a bid to get the professional debutant Joe Joyce out of there. Ian Lewison has scored 4 first-round knockouts in his career. 3 of them have come inside the distance. He's known as a fast starter at his level. And remember, in his last professional outing, as he lands with a haymaker of a right hand around the corner, he was challenging for the vacant British title against Dillian White. Joe Joyce, in his first outing in the professional ranks, a veteran of World Series boxing, which has contested over 5 3-minute rounds, but facing a serious test over the scheduled 10-round distance against the former Southern Area heavyweight champion.
Well, it's a London rivalry, and in my opinion, it could come down to who can control that ring, and moreover, who can land first. Good early flurries here from a solid power puncher in Lewison. Joyce, I would think, would want to get behind that jab, stick and move.
Well, during the course of what was a highly decorated career in the vest for Great Britain, one of the most decorated boxers Great Britain have ever had representing them, Joe Joyce has been caught cold on a couple of occasions. Stopped in the first round, the European Championships, after being called early to the ring, but he said he's rectified that fault and now warms up extremely well to ensure that he isn't caught cold. And one would suspect, given the heavy hands Lewison possesses and the greater experience that he has, that he would start quickly in an effort to get his man out of there and test any fragility that may exist on this, his first outing in the pro ranks. But Joe Joyce already establishing a ramrod left jab.
Solid left jab again there from Joyce. One of Lewison's keys to victory, in my opinion, is to work the body. He landed a solid right. Then Joyce actually covered and defended it the second time. It's been good work from both men to get it started here in London town.
Well, now jabbing the body, Joe Joyce, before bringing it back upstairs. And even though Lewison doing a good job catching many of those on the gloves, it's such a heavy lead left hand that it's disrupting any forward rhythm that he's attempting to establish. Lewison comes back with a jab of his own, but nice movement to cause that shot to slip over his right shoulder by Joyce. Speculative haymakers being wung in now by Lewison, not setting them up with that lead left hand, but looking for the home run straight away. Left hook wasn't too far away from Lewison. Closing seconds of what has been a first round fought at a high tempo. Good left hand to the body from Joyce.
What an atmosphere here tonight at the Indigo O2, and what a way to start things off. We knew
you're doing great.
that Joyce was going to utilize that
You don't need
jab.
to be too close to him because you got a long reach. You got the longer reach. And you got a very fucking good jab. Only what I need from you just to mix it up, your jab. Sometimes change with the hook, okay?
And here we saw Joe getting caught early, courtesy of those really seriously power punches of Lewison. He corked up really, really nicely, moved his head, came in hard, and there, that overhand right, that bolo punch coming over the top of the guard.
10 seconds.
But Joyce responded and started to dictate things on his term, utilizing that snapping jab.
Seconds out. Round 2.
So we're into the second round then of a heavyweight contest that is scheduled for 10, and straight away Joe Joyce onto the front foot and shooting out a ramrod straight left jab. And look at the way it's disrupting the rhythm of Ian Lewison. Terrific work from Joe Joyce to begin this second stanza. And Lewison is going to have to employ more head movement than he's demonstrating here. He bites down in his gun shield and comes forward, winging in hooks. Hard right hand to the body from Lewison, and he's targeting the same area once again.
Joyce did a great job there of listening to his corner. Ismael Salas was calling for him to commit harder to the jab. He said, use your reach, be in, be out. 2 steps out, really forcing Lewison into an exchange that is less than favorable.
So Lewison trying to establish the left jab of his own. Right hand down by his belt line, now bobbing and weaving from the waist, but he's simply struggling to avoid and evade that left hand that Joe Joyce possesses. Terrific athlete, Joe Joyce. The engine and the pace that he can set, one of the hallmarks of his boxing. And Lewison, well, he's been known to fade later on in fights, competing in his third scheduled 10-rounder tonight. Hasn't completed the 10-round course, interestingly enough. Remember, the British title, of course, contested over 12 rounds. But that one saw Lewison retire in the 10th of that 12-round contest against Ian Lewison.
Joyce is dictating the pace much better than he did in the previous round. He was caught out of position a few times early by Lewison, but starting the combination with the jab, and moreover, catching when Lewison is trying to reset and throw those power punches and interrupting, stifling, if you will, with that long straight left. It's fundamentals, but fundamentals win fights.
Well, the reigning unified heavyweight champion of the world, as a jab disrupts the forward movement of Ian Lewison once again. Referee Bob Williams has to intervene to adjust that protective cup. That intervention coming at a timely moment from Lewison's point of view, because the left jab was causing him to blink. And now, on the resumption, Lewison coming forwards again. There's not much speed or snap to his work, but he's throwing arcing punches with bad intentions.
Most of those punches landing on the gloves of Joyce. There's been good coverage. One of my keys for victory for Joyce was to use a very disciplined guard, head movement in and out of combinations. That, I think, has really made this a very favorable round for him.
Good left hand to the body a few moments ago from Joyce. The left hook that he attempted upstairs was slow and over the top, but now he's working back behind that left jab once again. We mentioned the fact that Anthony Joshua's got an assignment coming up, defending his unified title. Well, for years, Joe Joyce used to train alongside Anthony Joshua, and during Joshua's meteoric rise in his pro career, Joyce has been a chief sparring partner.
Let's recap some of that action here. You can see Joyce really finding his distance, really commanding the use of angles and ring generalship. And the look on Ian Lewison's face really tells the story of this contest. Pushed onto the back foot, bullied into the corners. Joyce really was exceptional in learning from some of the ways that the first round didn't quite go in his favor as cleanly.
Come on. You're doing great, man.
10 seconds.
One quarter.
Keep going, Charlie. Keep going, Charlie.
Please, you go close with me. You go
Round
close
3.
with me.
So into the third round then, and as he did to begin round number 2 as well, Joe Joyce out working behind that piston-like left hand. Lewison trying to employ some bobbing and weaving from the waist, tucking up tightly behind his gloves, but still that left hand finding a way through. He counters with a left hand of his own, but he's wide of the mark as Joyce pivots off to his right. First outing of 2017 for Ian Lewison. His first contest since his unsuccessful bid against Dillian White for the vacant British crown, and that was a beautiful left jab. That just caused Joe Joyce to blink momentarily, but all of his sparring partners, all of his opponents in WSB say that despite the shots you hit Joe Joyce with, he keeps on coming forwards. Impossible to discourage, very difficult to deter, and he keeps on marching. Impervious to the punches that come in his direction, and he keeps letting go with his own heavy leather.
There was a nice double jab a moment ago from Lewison, but Joyce in, then out, really minding the technical details of his entrances and exits. That's where he's going to be vulnerable against a guy where he commands that reach advantage against. So again, I'm really liking the adjustments that Joyce has made throughout the second, and that has continued into the third here.
So Lewison trying to establish that jab once again. Arcing right hand catches Joyce just beneath the air, and then the left hook that followed up wasn't too far away. There's a solid left from Layamount Lewison. Winging forward, winging punches as he's coming forward now. But Joyce back into the pocket once again and working behind his trusty left hand.
And a very good shoulder roll as well. Lewison is trying to exploit that, but Joyce knows when to move, he knows when to retreat, he knows when to engage here. Technical brilliance against a dangerous guy at all times in Lewison.
And Lewison back into the corner just above our commentary position. He's being worked over here, but he fights his way out with a single right hand to the body. Lewison perhaps just beginning to slow a little bit. Look at the manner in which he's struggling to retain his boxing stance. Whereas Joe Joyce appears incredibly fresh. The shorts struggling to stay around his waist once again. Bob Williams helped him out in the previous round. But now, Lewison got to remain focused on the man in front of him. Scores with a good left jab, but he's looking a little bit ragged as he's knocked off balance with a ramrod left once again. Left hook crashes around the corner from Joyce. Lewison backing off, looking to initiate a clinch, but Joyce still finding room and a home for his punches. Terrific onslaught being unloaded by Joe Joyce, but Lewison still in there, shrugging defiantly at the end of the third round.
Joe Joyce did an excellent job of timing and punishing the inactivity of his opponent. I think that when you have the cardiovascular endurance of Joyce, you can go in there and be confident of pushing a pace.
Yeah. You need to show us something, brother.
Listen, Joe. I need to keep with your left hand, but you need to change the level. Up and down, up and down.
This is what I was talking about with that shoulder roll defense. He did so well of pushing the pace, closing the distance, and once again, just like in the second round, effectively pushing Lewison into the ropes. There was technique and also a use of his physical advantages.
You're close with me.
Seconds out, round 4.
Come on, champ. Let's go, champ.
Running repairs to the waistband of Ian Lewison shorts once again, being carried out by Bob Williams. And at the conclusion of that third round, Don Charles telling his man Ian Lewison that you have got to show me something, because it was a strong conclusion to round number 3 by Joyce, who began to go through the gears and increase the punch output. Ian Lewison out comparatively brightly to begin round number 4, bobbing and weaving once again, trying to sharpshoot with his own left hand. But it's Joe Joyce who is commanding the center of the ring and keeping Lewison on the end of a hurtful left. It looks as though he's caught a thumb. Left hand drives Lewison back to the ropes. He's being worked over upstairs and downstairs, trying to tuck up, bracketing his head with his hands, but he's been distressed after catching a thumb in that right eye. He's got to fight on. Protect yourself at all times is the referee's mantra, and Joe Joyce is teeing off on Ian Lewison, who is standing stock still over in the far neutral corner.
Joe Joyce really pushing the finish here and sitting down on those punches, but he's not getting desperate. He knows Lewison is a tricky customer. Smart fighting here.
Ian Lewison blinking furiously, particularly out of that right eye, behaving in a manner as though he has caught his thumb from the left hand of Joe Joyce. And you see him dabbing at it again. Kell Brook has suffered so badly, suffering double vision in fights. You saw the fighters when they knock around that temple area, trying to restore the vision. Heavy left hand being winged in by Joe Joyce. Ian Lewison becoming practically a one-eyed fighter now. And Joe Joyce demonstrating plenty of poise and patience as he is picking his punches. Perhaps this fourth round becoming an exercise in survival now. And once again, it's the equipment of Ian Lewison that has gained him some respite. And for the second time in a round, Bob Williams has to pull those shorts up to just beneath his pecs.
A remarkable performance, never mind the equipment failure from Joe Joyce. He knows when to extend that jab. He knows when Lewison is going to try to bull rush him, and actually shortens it up just enough to catch him flush.
Well, still 40 seconds to survive. Ian Lewison launching what could be the last roll of the dice here. He fired out an explosive 1-2, but couldn't find the range. But as he's retreating backwards, Joe Joyce just helping himself. Practically 3 shots to both head and body. Lewison being slowed down and broken up by the shots that Joyce is unloading. Life becoming increasingly difficult for Ian Lewison now, dabbing at that right eye once again. It's been troubling him since the start of this fourth round. Joe Joyce in merciless mood, continuing to unload and score with his own offense, but once again, Ian Lewison, it looks as though he's rolled his ankle now and the problem's mounting. This bringing to mind when Gary Mason, the late Gary Mason, fought Lennox Lewis. Let's see if we can listen in after...
Put your legs out. Catch it. Yeah. You have to make a decision, yeah? Listen, rinse this one. Ian, rinse this one. Rinse it. Spit it. Right, listen to me, yeah? Take that off a minute. How many things am I holding up? 1. Yeah? Yeah. 2. Right.
And here's some of that action courtesy of Joe Joyce's magical jab. Short jab coming in, forces Lewison to cover up. Catches him really just in all sorts
10
of imbalance.
seconds.
The stance broken up there, pushed up against the ropes, very vulnerable. The vision certainly a
Seconds out.
factor, but the
Round
pressure
5.
of Joyce has been sublime.
Well, the doctor being called up to inspect that right eye.
Free. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Over there.
And after the inspection from the ringside doctor here at the Indigo Theatre at the O2 Arena, Ian Lewison intimating that he is okay to continue, demonstrating tremendous heart, plenty of fighter's pride and courage. But Joyce immediately continuing his forward march and closing the distance once again on the former Southern Area Heavyweight Champion.
Joe Joyce has continued to stage his striking from leading with that left. Smart use of the reach, and of course targeting the side of Ian where he cannot see. I'd love to see Joe continue to dig to the body.
He's continuing to uncoil that left hook, Joe Joyce, and that is the flank from which Ian Lewison is unsighted. Continuing to put on the earmuffs, trying to repel those punches coming in his direction. But you just get the sense that it's becoming an increasingly forlorn endeavor now for Ian Lewison. He won't stop trying. He said he felt somewhat offended when he was selected as the opponent for Joe Joyce, making his professional debut as Joyce cracks home another solid left jab. But then he said, well, he reconsidered and he saw this as an opportunity. A fight on free-to-air television here in the United Kingdom on Dave, and a chance to get himself back into title consideration by derailing the professional debut of the Olympic silver medalist. But so far, Joe Joyce is boxing to order. His first outing since last summer, said he was keen and itching to get back into the boxing ring. Took a long time to decide who he was going to go with in the professional ranks. And since that time, he's been on sparring sessions up and down the country. Moved around with the former undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury, for a short while. Then with Hughie Fury as he was preparing for his title bid against Joe Parker. Joe Joyce just a little bit of showboating now, expressing his dominance over Ian Lewison, and then took on the former WBC heavyweight champion of the world in sparring over in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Joyce is very intelligent to try to get Ian Lewison to chase him here. He knows he has a cardio advantage. He knows he has the advantage of vision. Lewison significantly down on the scorecards at this point. And Joyce has the confidence that he's been here before. He's fought in the World Series of Boxing. He's been to 5 rounds before. This is the point in the fight where he can take over.
Spearing his man with a left jab once again, using it like a lance, Joe Joyce. Ian Lewison, well, again, you have to admire his commitment to the cause, but look at him blinking that right eye, swelling rather furiously, growing incrementally worse, the swelling around that right orb. A spirited effort from Ian Lewison during that 5th round. Let's see if we can listen in to what Ismael Salas has to say.
Keep break, yo. Keep break, yo. Keep break, yo. Yeah, nice. Nice and easy. Yo, only one thing you need to control, just to be behind your leading hand, man.
Yeah.
Your leading hand has to be fucking his face all night long.
Yeah. Good. Well, show me something. That was better, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah? But I need you to jab more. Yeah? Jab.
Yeah.
Okay? Good man.
When you throw that right hand and it lands, he moves straight off that. Came across.
10 seconds.
Right hand, cut across to your left.
You got to pick the back.
No, it's all right. Next round. They got time.
Seconds out. Round 6.
Well, apologies if you heard any profanity from Ismael Salas during his instructions at the conclusion of that 5th round in the direction of Joe Joyce. But getting his message across in forceful fashion, and Joe Joyce has started this 6th stanza very quickly indeed. Ian Lewison nodding defiantly. Joe Joyce increasing the distance. But Joyce, well, he's been in almost complete control from the opening round on this, his professional boxing debut. Lewison has showed flashes, but in the fourth round, where he suffered damage to a right eye and seemed to roll his ankle just before the bell to end round number 4, well, one suspects that it's professional pride keeping him in this contest. His conditioning is being put to the test. He was brighter in round 5 when compared to round number 4, but his coach Don Charles still wants him to show something, show more than he's demonstrating right now. And he does get onto the front foot and goes in pursuit of his man.
This has just been a clinical performance from Joe Joyce here. I'd love to see him start to kind of go beyond those single pot shots or 2-punch combinations, but he has to be dangerous. You have to dot every I, cross every T. You saw for a moment there, Lewis, he saw a flurry, he saw an opening, and Joyce has to respect that.
Hook wasn't too far away, but it was nicely blocked by the right glove of Joe Joyce. Just got it up to his jaw in time. And Lewison's right eye continuing to swell, traces of blood evident in and around his mouth. Lewison now trying to respond to the beseeching of his cornerman Don Charles and trying to show him something in this 6th round. Lewison again launching a roundhouse right that caught Joe Joyce on his scapula. Joe Joyce's mother, Marvel, has been such an instrumental figure in his career as an athlete, as Joyce gets on the front foot once again and bringing shots around the corner and beneath the guard as well. Ian Lewison, like the grizzled veteran that he is, calling his man back in. But Joe Joyce can keep up this type of tempo all night long. It's brand new territory for Joe Joyce here in round number 6, but he's still boxing at a high clip.
You cannot question the heart, grit, determination of Ian Lewison. Joyce knows this. You'll see him kind of go in there, throw combinations, then back off. That's purposeful boxing, that's smart boxing, and that's a beautiful left hand there from Joe Joyce.
Left hook, then he turned it into a jab, closing seconds of round number 6. And again, one can only look on admiringly at the immense courage that is being demonstrated by Ian Lewison, but it's another round in favor of the reigning Olympic silver medalist. Well, let's see if we can get a word from tonight's promoter, David Hay, as to what he is making of this contest so far and the performance of his star signing, Joe Joyce.
I'm very, very happy. You know, this is exactly what we were looking for from this fight. You know, we put him in a 10-round fight because we know he has the engine, and he's proven it here. You know, believe me, he starts getting warmed up around round 5 and 6. So these are the rounds he should be starting to completely. Not that he's not had his whole way the whole way, but this is when I really believe that Joe Joyce is going to really show his mettle in his first professional fight. Going into these rounds 7, 8, it's going to, I believe, Ian Lewison is going to really struggle. He's taken some real full-blooded shots and he's looking a bit sickening in there.
Just briefly, David, what would you like to see Joyce do to assert that dominance further?
I'd like him. He's loading up a little bit. He's looking for the knockout just a little bit too much. You know, I know that all too well. So definitely just sticking behind his jab and letting the shots flow is the best course of action for him.
Well, Joe Joyce beginning his 7th round behind a long left jab. Mentioned his mother Marvel, who's been so supportive of Joe throughout his career. She's not here ringside tonight because she is approaching the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. Real action woman. She told me in the build-up to the contest that she is where Joe gets his engine from. She runs marathons. She's done a London to Brighton bike ride. Joe's been on a tandem with her riding around Thailand. Ian Lewison firing a right hook that was just a little bit long, catching Joyce with the inside of the glove, but she's not able to be able to support his professional debut. Like most mothers, she said she didn't particularly like Joe's choice of professional boxing, as Lewison again being put on the end of left hooks. He's complaining that a shot is low. But with that tape around the waistband of Lewison now, well, what's low, what's fair?
I was looking for Joe Joyce to turn up the heat after the 4th. You heard it from the haymaker there a moment ago. 5, 6 onwards. This is where the game plan really kicks in for them to take over, control, stay in top form, and continue to use the versatility of strikes, angles, and footwork. I think Joe Joyce needs to really look for those 3-4 punch combinations. That seems to really force Lewison to freeze and back off, and that really could maybe then produce the golden opportunity for the knockout they would like to get.
Well, Lewison rumbling forward more purposefully now, trying to target the body of Joyce. Again, when Joyce gets back to the space of center ring and snakes out those straight shots, it's a very difficult task indeed for the man from Brixton. Reverse 1-2 is a beautiful combination from Joyce, who again into new territory beyond round 5, remember. He's showing no signs of feeling the pace.
Joyce again posting with that arm. The frame of Joe Joyce has been exceptional. There's been times where Ian Lewison has tried to get dangerous on the inside of the infighting that we believed would be a key for him against the rangy, tall striker in Joe Joyce. But Joe has just shown incredible composure for his debut.
Continuing to pick his punch as well. He's not really a single shot hitter, Joe Joyce, but he's a clubbing puncher. And he's used that volume and those heavy hands to just pound out victory after victory in World Series boxing. That's the 5-round format of AIBA boxing, where he's taking on fellow, or where he was taking on fellow top boys from the realm of the Olympics. Been in the ring with Alexander Usyk, the reigning cruiserweight champ of the world, demonstrating some of the capoeira that he's such an exponent of in the closing stages of that 7th round. Another round in favor of Joe Joyce, surely.
Deep breathe, Joe. Deep breathe, Joe. What I can say, just to keep very, very fundamental. Your jab, and up and down, your left hook. Now you're doing with your left uppercut underneath very well, so you mix it up, okay?
Think about it. I need you to feint, like we practice, and then throw the jab. Feint, 1-2. You're getting into position and you're not doing anything. Give us something. Give me something. Give us something.
10 seconds.
So let's take a look at the numbers here. I've got Joe Joyce up on the scar cards, really leaving Lewison in a position where he needs to finish this fight.
Into round 8 then. And again, Don Charles continuing his plea over in that blue corner. So the jolting left jab drives Lewison backwards towards his own corner. Again, the heavy-handed clubs continuing to thud home from Joe Joyce. Lewison retreating to his own corner and being worked over upstairs by thudding left hooks.
This was what Ismael Salas called for. They said great fundamentals, continue to lead with the jab, but start to look to finish your combinations with a left hook. That's exactly what Joe Joyce is doing here.
Well, the toughness of Ian Lewison is beyond question. In the fight against Dillian Whyte last October, he had his nose broken, his eyes were swollen, but he still had his moments, even though the fight appeared to be beyond him. That's the position. And it's almost his momentum that carried him over there. That's the sign of a fatiguing fighter, wound up on a big right hand, landed on muscle and bone. But the impact sent the man who delivered the punch to the mat. Well, if he is running out of energy, Joe Joyce will put that to the test here now, approaching the midpoint of the 8th round.
Could also be the sign of a desperate fighter. The cornering advice for Lewison is going to require some space, though. They want him to feint, then operate off the jab, then get in. Tough ask against the jab of Joe Joyce right now, and the control, the ring generalship, if you will.
Well, Lewison almost being reduced to speculative single swings here now. Whereas Joe Joyce appearing just as fresh and mobile and sharp as he was in the opening round. Beautiful left jab once again, thrusting it out like a bayonet, and Ian Lewison ran headlong into it, and it knocked him back a couple of steps. Uppercut through the middle. Joe Joyce so far, well, he's barely put a foot wrong. What has been a very impressive display and a composed performance against a hardened professional in Ian Lewison.
And a man who had such a great camp. He came in outstanding shape. He looked good on the scales. this is really not just a
victory. And he's beginning to wilt after taking a hard left hand. He's lost control of his legs, and this could be the final roll of the dice. The towel has come in from Don Charles. Bob Williams hasn't seen it, so a multitude of towels comes in. And now Bob Williams elects to wave it off. So in the 8th round, the resistance has been punched out of Ian Lewison, and Joe Joyce receives a warm embrace from his cornerman Ismail Salas after a punch-perfect display on his professional debut, defeating the former Southern Area heavyweight champion and a man who challenged for their British heavyweight title in his last contest. Well, Ian Lewison's face betraying his profession at the conclusion of this contest. Marked up around the right eye, busted up around the mouth. Joe Joyce hitting him repeatedly all night long. Well, that was the slip that sent Ian Lewison to the canvas. But then this was the left hand that caused Ian Lewison to wilt. All of the resistance punched out of him, and Joe Joyce was merciless once he had his man going.
Just as I was about to say, Joe Joyce was taking early victory laps here. He put in a performance and a statement here. Lewison covering up just as good as he could, but his corner had seen him take enough. That is an amazing win for Joe Joyce, now 1-0 in the professional ranks.
Well, Ian Lewison competed valiantly, showed flashes with single shots early in the contest, but he never really got himself into the contest. Joe Joyce